Welcome back from that short break and happy Easter Monday to you. If you just joined us today, how are the celebrations still going? Here on DreamTV and BTV, we have the Chisawe Chamutwalo still going, so you can send in your 10K, 20K, whatever, but the minimum is 10K so that we can get that stadium for us, all of us as a fraternity, the born again community. We can get into there just to worship God, just follow all the prompts. We have the option for bank, we have direct onto onto mobile money, or another whole process, and that is the first one there where you have to dial *244 and *9# and get to send in that 10K or even beyond. This could be looked at as a seed. But also not forgetting we have the lunch hour fellowship happening with Pastor Wilson Ruhweza this whole week, and that is from midday, from 1 p.m. all the way to 2:15 p.m. So you can be a part of that. My name is Verenji Stella. I'm here with Alex Simbwa. And on to our next story, which is Congo, which has suspended Kabila's political party over the rebel ties. Now, the Congolese authorities, meanwhile, this story, we talked something about it last week, I believe, when we were talking about Kabila.
The return.
Yes, the return. And you and I were like, what does that mean? What will happen should that get to come true? Well, it did come to happen. And on Friday, he happened to sneak through Rwanda and went into Congo only for his party to be suspended. Now, the Interior Ministry statement justified the ban of the People's Party for Reconstruction and Democracy and accused Kabila of overt activism. It is the 53rd year. The 53-year-old had been reluctant to condemn M23, the rebel group controlling right now the North and South Kivu provinces. Now, Kinshasa has accused Kabila in self-imposed exile since 2023 until Friday, and of supporting separatism and rebellion in the country's east. Can someone come back to be a better leader when they were initially not? Or even if they were good, is there just one person who can be good for a nation?
Unlikely. It should be more than one. Secondly, it is not good for democracy. It is not good for democracy. I'll give the example of the US. However much you're good as a leader, they do not expect you to return.
Okay.
I can mention some few. After 2 terms, after you've done your 2 terms, you cannot do 3, you cannot do, currently you can't, unless there is a constitutional amendment that allows for that. But currently you cannot do that. Now, in the situation in Congo, I think there's a problem with African leaders, generally. I saw it in Zambia. Was it in Zambia? There was a president called Kenneth Kaunda. His time as president runs out. He chooses a successor. Then a gentleman by the name, I'm going to forget his name. He was a very miniature guy, very small guy. He was, the name is disappearing. But then, in spite of him choosing him to come into his place, he begins tormenting him. Former leader.
Why now?
For whatever reason and so on. You get?
Yeah.
Now, when I think he was ousted, I don't know if he was ousted or what, but I don't quite remember. Chiluba, Frederick Chiluba was his name. Now, Chiluba gets out of power, and the person that comes in after him does to him what he did to Kaunda when he was president. You get?
Yeah.
So, for this continent of Africa, anything can happen anyhow. Because what we remember is that when he was exiting, Kabila was told that your Tshisekedi is a puppet, okay?
Yeah.
You can't point us to somebody and tell us you vote for this one. But he was voted anyway. So Tshisekedi has been leading. Now they're telling you that Tshisekedi is blocking Kabila from returning to the country.
Yeah.
But again,
but now that
why is he showing interest in returning? Let him point to somebody who can. Now, challenge is, when he came into power, he was only 29 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why he's only 53 now. You get it?
Yeah.
In your country, I mean, in the neighboring country, how old is he? How old is President Kagame?
By the way, how old is he?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I'm uncertain, but I can look it up.
I know President Museveni is making 80 next year. No, he made 80. He made 80 last year.
According to Buhavura's education thing, it looks like Obang is just going into his...
No. He was born 44,
70,
according to his one.
Over 70. He keeps on saying he's 70.
That one we Google now. I don't want you to...
Buhavura's been telling us he's still on his 75th. You know how women keep on at a certain age. For example,
even the wife is not 75.
There's a year that I don't go beyond.
Hey! 8 years. 8 years, according to what? Born 1944. That one I know.
Yeah.
And I follow and I make sure.
You get it. But for what purpose? Not that.
Not for any purpose. I can't promise that there is any good to it.
That will come
and
out
so on.
of it.
We'll run to South Africa, where there is controversy in one political party. And the reason is nothing related to politics, okay? A top official in South Africa's biggest political party, one of them, has been condemned for visiting a Bushiri. Here we just know him as Bushiri. You know Bushiri from Zimbabwe, Shepherd Bushiri. Now, the leader being talked about is called Floyd Shivambu. Shivambu is the Secretary General of Mukhoto Wesizwe, or MK Party. MK Party finished third in South Africa's election last year. And during the Easter holiday, this gentleman went to Bushiri's church in Malawi. Now, Bushiri, who is from Malawi, was one of South Africa's best-known preachers when he was arrested and charged with fraud in 2020. Now, after being released on bail, he managed to flee South Africa to his home country, which is Malawi. Now, last month, a court in Malawi backed an extradition request, but Mr. Bushiri and his wife, Mary, who are facing fraud charges, have lodged an appeal. Now, those are complicated things. Complicated in which sense? That extradition treaties are usually signed between countries that bwemba njagala omuntu nga yazizza omusango mumumpa naye because that was what happened with Dr. Besigye in Kenya. Because what people are wondering, unless the Kenyans arrest him and hand him over to you, that is another. But how can a Ugandan force go over there in another country and arrest somebody there? So that was the complication. Now this, okay, I won't go into the details, but this gentleman now is being blamed. He's a politician, and we mentioned his name is Floyd Shivambu. Of course, MK itself is, I remember last Friday, I think it was on Friday when I told you, that in South Africa they lost up to 270 people because they were demonstrating against the arrest of the leader of MK, which is Jacob Zuma, former president. Now, this guy led for 9 years. He was president for 2 terms. The first term, 5 years. Then the second term, he was impeached, I think, on the 4th year. So he was remaining with 1 year to complete his term. Now, he wanted to return as president. Hey, he wanted to return as president. Don't know about to Senate because but the party has condemned all forms of gender-based violence and exploitation of vulnerable communities, especially by individuals who manipulate them and so on and so forth. But for them, the important thing is the evasion of justice. They say this man flaunted the laws of South Africa by jumping bail. It's called jumping bail, where you are released on bail and you disappear.
Because in most cases, actually, sometimes we've heard of it, cases where they ask for a passport and then you're not supposed to get out.
I won't tell you a story, but it's a personal one. I had a land wrangle with somebody.
Okay.
We had, as a family, I had a land wrangle with somebody. There was somehow high in society. You get it? So we go to court, and when we got to court, you know, the judge said, since because our lawyer was saying, let the accused deposit their passport in court such that they do not interfere with investigations and so on. The judge said, since the accused is an honorable member of society, but I'm accusing you of a crime, so which honorable member of society are you? You get it? I hear according to the laws that we follow, which are Roman laws, you're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah.
But
do you know why Pontius Pilate was very hesitant to whatever Jesus?
By the way, yes. Yeah, he was hesitant.
Because there's need for a genuine reason why
you are arresting someone. Or, you know, there's this thing I wanted to tell you. I'm thinking, for me, okay, the reason behind it would be, since it's a thing of land, I don't think someone will flee because they are still fighting for land, but that is your personal story. Let's first go back to this one before I forget the point I wanted to make. I was thinking about it, and it's two-way. We know when it comes to politics, sometimes politics can truly be dirty, and people go all the way to accuse you of certain things. So it's hard to tell, of course, until he is proven guilty, whether he is truly guilty of what he's being accused of. But on the other hand, when you look at the pastor, so he's a self-proclaimed prophet who says, claims to have cured people of HIV, made the blind see, changed fortunes. But now this is where it got me. At least at one occasion, he walked on air. Now that is where I'm dumbfolded. It's not like it's not like insekirizo basikiriza.
To what good is walking on air? When you say he healed people's eyes and so on, that is fine. A blind person is saying. When you raise the dead, yes, they've come back to life. So when you walk in air, to whose benefit is it that you're walking in the air?
You can defy gravity. That is
to whose benefit? When somebody is HIV positive and you pray for them and they get well. Because for me, there's a need to distinguish. What do you call it? To distinguish between, if you pray, the one you're praying to is able to heal, and so on. But you see, in the reporting, they say he did.
That it is his own doing. Okay.
It should be he prayed, and the one who is able to do it. But then, so God benefits her when you walk in air.
You don't have to go through traffic.
Because these miracles have to be related to God's glory.
Have you thought about it? You don't have to go through traffic.
To do it?
When you're able to walk in air.
Would you love to?
To walk in air?
To what benefit?
But you first think about it, actually, as you go to the next story. You first think about it and let me know which superpower you would want to own. Would you want to read people's minds?
I don't need. I can tell already what people think.
No, we make it fun. Okay.
No fun. I don't want that kind of fun.
Superpower. You're making this. Okay. Just play the game. Just play the game.
I don't play children's games. Kali, lastly, I will go to China, where China, this is the issue. The US has threatened, has said that if you deal with China, we'll impose higher tariffs on you. If you decide not to deal with China, we will actually give you favorable tariff options and so on.
Yeah.
Now, China has come out to say, you deal with the US at your own risk. Okay? If you refuse to deal with us, if you refuse to trade with us and decide to maybe follow the US's trend and put tariffs on us, if things backfire against you, it will be at your own peril.
Yeah.
Okay? But it has warned countries against appeasing the US in trade talks with Donald Trump. The Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson mentioned that in response to reports that Washington plans to put pressure on governments to restrict trade with China in exchange for exemptions of US import taxes. Now, Mr. Trump has started talks with trading partners over tariffs, with the Japanese delegation visiting the US last week, and the South Korean also set to be part of negotiations this week. Now, since returning to the White House in January, Trump has imposed heavy tariffs on Chinese imports, while other countries have also been hit with higher levies. Ugandans were hit by a 10% levy on everything that we export to the US. What do we export to the US? Actually, your outfit would be nice. Maybe the whole of you would be nice being exported to the US.
People could be wondering. Yeah. Am I allowed to show my shoe? Where is my shoe, baby?
Your shoe. Let me pick it for you. This here. Let me get back to camera.
First of all, let me.
And again, this here is what we export to the US. So if the US restricts, you get it. Tufiirwa nnyo nga bino tetubitunze mu America. You can imagine.
Alex, give me my shoe. It has been lovely having you watch us here on DreamTV and BTV.